Good morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone's doing fine. I hope everyone's doing cool, guys. I am Sal Warner. This is Breaking Dawn, as I just said, of course, guys. Before I start, please don't forget to smash a like on the video. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new, guys. Now, look, let's get into it. Look, the biggest thing I want to say is that there's a lot of back and forth going on social media about Manchester United at the moment, and it is absolutely crazy. I'm going to delve into that. But firstly, I want to talk about a couple of things in regards to transfers, in regards to what Man United's future may hold. And there is news about a striker that Man United may be going after, maybe on loan. There's also news about a midfielder that, we were looking at many years ago, many years ago, when we were all young, of course, guys. We're going to get into that as well. Now, let me start. Now, look, you may have heard of Kolo Muani. Kolo Muani is a PSG player who was on loan at Juventus last season. The striker who was famous for missing the opportunity to probably win France the World Cup back in 2000 and, was it 22? Goodness me, was it? Time is flying, guys. Back in 2022, Manchester United could probably do a loan deal for Kolo Muani. Now, guys, listen, this is coming out of Italy. News outlets in Italy that Man United are looking for a striker at the moment. And Muani could fit the bill if he's on loan. They might not have to pay any money for him. So maybe a little bit, maybe a little fee, a compensation fee around that, So, look, Man United and Muani goes back a long way. We've been interested in him for the past 5 years. Man United have been linked to Kolo Muani, of course, guys. He is a very, very capable player, guys. Capable player. A very, I wouldn't say he's prolific, but what I would say is that he's got quality, he's got skill, he's got ability and awareness. Looking at the game yesterday in regards to Manchester United and against Leeds United, I know it's a friendly. And, we can't overreact. But these friendlies are so important this summer. They're not like friendlies for me. They're like, we're going to see. And just like I said before the game, I'm not going to flip-flop on this. Before the game, I said that we're going to see this team if they can impress or not. It doesn't matter if it's a friendly or it's not a friendly or it's a Champions League final, because at the end of the day, you can see quality, you can see flaws in the team. I saw a lot of things in that friendly yesterday that were just the same as last season. The way we played, the way we were slow pedestrians and getting that ball forward very slowly. And it begs the question, what is the problem? But I'm going to get into that. Manchester United are interested in Kolo Muani. On loan, it could be with an obligation. So, look, what I would say about that, it's not my first choice, not even my fifth choice, to be honest with you, Kolo Muani. But looking at that strike force yesterday, looking at the way we're so toothless up front, it does beg the question, do we need a striker desperately? And obviously, we've been talking about all summer about a striker coming into Manchester United and how important it is. But is that the only problem? Is it the only problem? We have to look at it really objectively and think about, what is Man United's real problem here? Is Man United a problem in regards to the midfield? Is Bruno Fernandes a problem at Man United? I'm hearing a lot of people talk about Bruno Fernandes. I'm hearing a lot of people talking about, I told you we should have sold him. Lots of aggression going around. I looked at the game yesterday and the only players that impressed me were the new players and the young players. I felt Cunha looked sharp. I felt Dorgu looked good. Aiden Heaven looked decent. Euro looked good. But Heaton. And then when I look at the rest of the team, I'm like, nah. So what is the problem here? How do we fix this issue? Because we can't go into next season with the same problems, guys. We can't, because this team, if it plays like this against Arsenal in the first game of the season, we're going to get off to a bad start. And then we go. Here we go again. I don't want us to do something insane. I don't want us to go into next season the same. Because it's insanity. Doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results is insanity. And I hope that we can fix this. I hope that we can bring in some players that will revolutionize this team, because this team just looks so dead. I'm telling you. And I tell you this, right? I'm going to be honest with you guys. Not selling Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion, was a mistake. I don't think he's the guy to take us forward. Bruno Fernandes is a decent player, but he's very slow. He's very slow. He's very pedestrian. He's not the only problem. The problem is the midfield. Man United need legs in there. Now, let's get into Man United in regards to the midfield. Now, Manchester United have been linked with many midfielders over the last, month or so? Not least Richard RIOS. Reports coming out at Manchester United is that Ruben Amorim is really interested in Richard RIOS. Now, Richard RIOS, of course, is close to signing for Benfica at the moment. He was linked with Roma, but Roma cannot afford the 30 million euro fee. So Benfica have stolen a march in regards to Richard RIOS. Now, why are Man United sleeping on a player like this? 25 million, very good player. It's the kind of player that Benfica will sign, and in a couple of years' time, he will be a 50, 60 million pound player. You know what I mean? And this is what I was talking about before in cutting out the middleman. Get the player from the source. Get him. Stop waiting around. We're very slow in this transfer window. And I know we signed Mbumo. That's great. We signed Mbumo. But as you saw yesterday, Mbumo and Cunha will improve the team, but it's not going to actually improve it to a point where, wow, we're playing, champagne football. You know what I mean? It's not. And we have to face the reality here that this team, a lot of these players are simply not good enough. And as much as I love Ruben Amorim as a manager, he's got to make some very unpopular decisions in regards to the fan base. And what are those decisions, guys? Play players that fit the system. Do not shoehorn players into positions because they're your favorite. Play players that fit the system and work for the team. That's what I would do. Because you look at the history of Man United, you look at the history of football. I used to like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Teddy Sheringham and Dwight Yorke and Andy Cole, but we couldn't all fit them into the same team at the same time because it wouldn't work, would it? Do you know what I mean? So what you got to do, you got to play a team that works as a team. Don't fit Bruno into the number 8 just because he's your mate, because he's Portuguese, because, that is what it is at the end of the day. Don't play Dalot as a right wing back because he's Portuguese, because he's your mate. They're not good enough, and we have to understand that. And they're not. I'm not singling them out, but I'm talking about what we have to look at last season. As I said yesterday, I do not forgive any of those players. I do not have any affiliation with any of those players, especially the players who've been there for years. And they have been there for years. And I don't think you can turn these players into players that can challenge for a title, for example. This is why we need a rebuild. This is why we have to make some unpopular decisions. Unfortunately, football's about unpopular. Alex Ferguson got rid of Beckham, Stam, Bruce, Brian Robson, Ince, Kanchelskis, Sharp. These were serial winners at Manchester United. Serial winners at Man United. But he got rid of them. You have to make unpopular decisions, right? I don't care about stat padding. I don't care about, that player done this, that player done that. We would have got relegated if that player didn't play for us. Well, maybe if you built a team instead of individualizing it, maybe Man United would have moved up the table, And that's what I would say about that. Thank you, guys. Everyone, I hope you're doing well. Hope everyone is blessed. Let me just read through some of your comments. Big up everyone, of course, in the stream, of course, guys. Hope everyone is good. Randall, good morning, my friend. How you doing, my friend? Morning, Sal. I'm afraid we need a midfield or we're going nowhere with the ones we have. I think there's a lot of big problems at Man United, Randall. I think Man United need a wing back and that Man United need a specialised wing back. Now, I spoke about Ahmad yesterday, and I don't think Ahmad is a wing back. And I've said it numerous amounts of times. He's not a wing back. He's shoehorning a player into a position that he doesn't play. Just like Bruno is not a number 8, and that's the thing. Like the most impressive player for me yesterday was Dorgu. And why was Dorgu so impressive? Because he could play the left wing back role. He's playing in the role that is good for him. You know what I mean? It's his real position. That is why. And this is the problem. If we keep shoehorning players into positions, we're going to be narrow. We're going to be narrow. I'll give you an example, guys. When you play players out of position, let me give you a little example of what can happen. Now, in the 1998-1999 final, obviously, Man United had a great team. Obviously, going into that final with Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Beckham and Giggs in the midfield. And then you had Dennis Irwin, Ronnie Johnson, Jaap Stam and Gary Neville, and Dwight York and Andy Cole up front. And then you had, obviously, the bench. But in the 1998-99 final, Man United had Keane and Scholes suspended. So what did that mean? They had to move David Beckham into the midfield and Ryan Giggs onto the right and move Jesper Blomqvist onto the left. So that narrowed Man United because Beckham is not. Beckham played well as centre midfield, but he's not his specialist position. Giggs is not a right footer. He played on the right. So we were narrow. So what Giggs was doing, Giggs was cutting in. We were getting in each other's way. We weren't playing well until we changed it up and moved Beckham onto the right and Giggs onto the left. Then you saw Man United, right? Shoehorning players into certain positions does not work. It does not work. Let me tell you that right now. You have to play players in their correct positions. And that is what, the problems are arising with Man United. It's not just about tactics, about formation. It's about players playing in the correct positions. And that's what Man United need to do. Now, guys, a lot of people have been speaking about the midfield, of course, and one midfielder that has been really vocal in regards to the news, in regards to transfer rumours, is Ndidi, Wilfred Ndidi. Now, Ndidi is a player that Man United were interested in many years ago, where we're looking at 2017-18. In 2017 called, they want their player back. They want their transfer rumour back. Here we go, guys. So, yeah, Wilfred Ndidi has been linked with Manchester United. What do I make of this? I mean, if Wilfred Ndidi was coming into Man United to be a substitute, then, yeah, it's good for the squad. But I don't think Wilfred Ndidi is that guy. But at the end of the day, when I'm looking at that midfield right now, will it improve the midfield? Ugarte is a good player. I like Ugarte as a number 10, but he went into that number 8 position and it causes havoc. I just don't think it works. I don't think it works. And we either have to change, right? Or we have to play the players in their correct positions and maybe drop Bruno. And that's what we have to do. We can't be going into next season with that midfield. We'll get absolutely run down again. You know what I mean? That is the biggest midfield. And the great comment, isn't it? The most famous comment is that games are won in the midfield. The midfield is the engine. Now, what would Ndidi do that to that midfield? Ndidi is a defensive midfielder, but is he better than Ugarte? He's had injury problems. Is he going to be leggy? Is he going to be, have injury problems at Man United? That's something we don't want to buy. We don't want to buy another injury-prone player, do we? This is the problem that we're having. And why don't Man United just go after Richard RIOS? Why are we looking at players like Ndidi? I mean, I thought that, Wilcox and Barada and all these guys were really good at their job. Because at the moment, they're not really looking around for the players. They're not really scouting for players. They're being very tunnel visioned in the players that they're looking for. They're not looking for the player that, I never thought about that one. I never heard of him. Who's he? They're looking at the players like Ndidi. We know about Ndidi. Everyone knows about Ndidi. My mum knows about Ndidi, for goodness sake. Do you know what I mean? And she doesn't even watch football. It's ridiculous when you think about it, guys. It is. And, Ndidi, look, I want to, look, at the end of the day, I don't want us as a fan base to just be accepting. I don't want us to be like, oh, well, you know what? He's a decent player, He's all right still. We can still do a job for Man United, because we don't want that. We don't want people who can do a job for Man United. We need players who can revolutionize Man United. That's what we need. We don't need, jobs worths. Players who could just fit in a spot. You know what I mean? Ndidi was a very good player. Maybe still is a decent player. But he's not going to revolutionize Man United's midfield when Arsenal have got Zubimendi. Arsenal, they got Partey. They got rid of Partey, didn't they? Thomas Partey. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we got Ndidi. I just feel like, I'll just be a little bit like, disillusioned in regards to where this club is going. What I would say is that there's no direction in this team. Indian Co, big up Kenny. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Big up Sanjay. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Big up UK Rap. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. Good morning, Sal. We have to play Bruno, number 10. It will not work in the midfield, and at least have to buy one midfielders. Ephraim, look, Mainu. It should be Mainu. It should be Ugarte. It should be Casemiro. It should be Mainu. It should be one of those players playing in the midfield. It should be Kone. It should be that. it should be a midfielder, not shoehorning players. Unfortunately, if we don't play Bruno as a number 8, the problem that we're going to arise there from is that, he's not going to play. Because Mbumo and Cunha should be the number 10s. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry, guys, but someone highlighted it yesterday. I don't know who it was, but one of the community highlighted it yesterday. And they were talking about Flamini and players like that. These sort of players that were playing for Arsenal when Man United had the players who are currently playing for Man United right now. Man United still have players from the Louis van Gaal era. We should move on from certain players, guys. So we have to be realistic here. These players are not exactly serial winners, right? We shouldn't be accepting in players that, oh, you know what? Yeah, like it's a bit like saying, yeah, I'll be happy if we finished 8th. No, we shouldn't be accepting of this. This is Manchester United, for goodness sake. Do you know what I mean? So what I would say is that either Bruno plays as a number 10 or he doesn't play at all. And that is what I'm talking about, because he does not have the discipline to play in a number 8 role. He doesn't. We are too infatuated with Player FC. I love Bruno. I love him. He's a great player, blah, blah, blah. Bruno is the captain of a sinking ship. And when a ship is sinking, the captain needs to go, especially if he keeps sinking ships. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, look, Bruno could be a squad player. He'd be good. He was dropped before. You know what I mean? He was dropped before. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer dropped him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saw problems in that team, and he dropped Bruno, remember? So he can be a squad player, but he should not be guaranteed place in the team. Nobody in this team should be guaranteed automatically a spot in this team. Nobody should have the divine right to play in this team, because every single player, to a man, failed last season. They failed last season. So I don't want to see players playing shoehorned into the team. Mate, I've got to fit my mate in there. I've got to fit Bruno in there. He's my mate. I've got to fit him in there. No one should be guaranteed a spot in that team. I'm telling you right now, the tactics with these players do not work. You do not have the players intelligence to play it. We don't. Because the thing with Ruben Amorim's tactics, and if you look back at Sporting Lisbon and his time over there, is that most of the players in that team were fit, quick, young, and they could play that system. Unfortunately, this is not a system for Casemiro and Bruno. You can look fit in training. You can look fabulous in training. You could look amazing. You could look trim. The age don't lie. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're going to get on that pitch against players like, Gnonto and players like that at Leeds, and you're going to think, oh, my goodness me, they're fit as well. You know what I mean? They're fit as well. The problem is that there's not much difference now between teams. There isn't. I'll tell you that truth, especially in the Premier League, right? And what I would say is that, what Man United need to do, Man United need to make some ruthless decisions. Ruthless decisions. I'm talking about decisions that are going to be unpopular. Bruno needs to be dropped sometimes. He does. He shouldn't be playing every single minute of every single game. He shouldn't be. And I'm telling Ruben Amorim right now, he's going to lose his job if he carries on. It's going to happen. And the thing is, I don't want him to lose his job because I know he needs his own players. But I'm telling you right now, if you're playing a square peg and round hole in the midfield, you're going to fall short. You're going to fall short. You're going to fail. Because the midfield is the biggest part of the pitch, the most important part of the pitch. If you're playing square pegs in round holes, it's not going to work, in my opinion. Big up, Kenny. Absolutely. I agree. Big up, Timo. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you. Big up, Bill. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Big up, big up. Absolutely. Morning, Sal. Yet another game where we lost ideas. We need a new midfield. Dembo, look, we need new... Look. I'll tell you one thing, Dembo, right? Ahmad as a right wing back is not the choice. He's not got the legs to do the job, right? Bruno as a number 8 is not the choice. He's not got the legs to do the job. Casemiro is not got the legs anymore. He was a generational player at Manchester United, at Real Madrid, but he's no longer a generational player. He's finished. Man United need a revolutionized midfield, a different midfield, completely different midfield with players that can play 99% of games. People talk about Ndidi, and Ndidi's injury prone. We're going to have the same problems as we've had every single season. Oh, he's injured. Oh, he's injured. We don't need that anymore. We need players that play majority of the games, guys. We do. We need players that play majority of the games. So, look, we have to be ruthless. I've said it before. Ahmad is not a wing back. He can't play wing back. He needs to be on the bench. That is as simple as that. I don't care if people have affiliations with him. I don't care. He's not a wing back. He has small legs. He can't run up and down the wing. Right? That's like saying, oh, get Aaron Lennon, who used to play for Tottenham, and play him as a wing back. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So we have to think a bit logically. And Bruno is not, he's too slow. Too slow. He hit the ball out in touch twice in the opening 30 minutes. Twice he hit the ball out of touch. He's the captain. You know what I mean? And this is what we have to look at. And we have to be ruthless, guys. I've been saying it for so many times. We got to be ruthless. A rebuild should be a rebuild. Manchester United, not PLEA FC. You know? Stop affiliating ourselves with one player and saying, oh, we need him. We don't need him. Every single one of those players embarrassed the great shirt of Manchester United last season. Every single one of those players, they embarrassed us last season. They shouldn't be guaranteed a spot. Ephraim, Sal, why do we not play Ugarte and Casemiro as very good? It's the thing. We want to shoehorn players into position. Bill, the midfield problem is Bruno and Casemiro. I agree. We at Bill, look, at the end of the day, we have to know when to move on from certain players. Bill, in your humblest of opinion, right? If Sir Alex Ferguson was still in charge of Manchester United, right? Would he still be playing Bruno and Casemiro? You know as well as I do that Man United rarely played players over 31. Rarely. I think over 30, to be honest with you. He would have moved them on. He would have done the unpopular decision and moved on the players. He would have moved them on and said, that's it. You know what? We need to get a new midfielder in. He probably would have signed Wharton and players like that. Do you know what I mean? Who got legs, who got movement and stuff like that. It's not that his tactics don't work. It's not that, the formation doesn't work. That is nonsense. If you play players in the wrong positions or players who are past their prime, you're going to get overrun by teams that are energetic, quick, like Leeds United were. You're going to get it. I mean, pace. Pace is very important in football now. Pace is very important. You have to be an athlete. And especially to play that wing-back position, you have to be an athlete. You have to be an animal. It's why I was so a big advocate in Vanderson and Frimpong and players like that. I was such a big advocate in these players because they are athletes and they can run the wings. You know what I mean? Stephen, Ineos and Glazers out. Big up, Stephen. If Amorim, I think Bruno Fernandes is the solution for midfield, he'll be Ephraim, you live and you die on your sword at the end of the day, isn't it? You live and you die on your sword, right? At the end of the day, we all know, right, that Bruno Fernandes has done a fabulous job at Manchester United. He's been one of the most important players in the last 15 years for Man United, right? Probably our best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. But we have to understand when there's a time to start drifting him out. We have to start drifting him out and bring in younger, fresh up players. What will work for Man United? Let me tell you this will happen. If Man United had Mbeumo, if Man United had Cunha, if Man United had, for example, Mateta up front, if Man United had Wharton and Baleba in midfield, do you think the team would be playing like that? It absolutely wouldn't, would it? It'd be pace, it'd be power. When you see the likes when Kone comes on, when players like that come on, why do we look better? And look at the game in Hong Kong. Look at the game in Hong Kong and the Asian All-Stars. You may look at things and think, oh, yeah, it's just a friendly. But look at it. Observe it. Observe the game. Look when Coney and that came on. Look how more quicker we were, how we were passing and moving in the game. You know? We got to stop relying on, the same old Dalot, Maguire, Fernandes. You know, and what we're doing, squeezing water out of a stone, expecting players to suddenly become title challengers. They weren't title challengers 10 years ago, 5 years ago. They weren't title challengers then. Why are they going to change now? And this is the whole thing. You can't be going into next season with the same rubbish. Rasmus again. I mean, leaning into the back of your player. What is this? The championship? Is this the national? No, disrespecting the championship there. This is the National League, guys, that he's playing like. I know that any player like leans against their player like that and falls on the floor. What the hell is that, mate? What the hell is that? You're 23 years old, mate. Come on. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, look, my goodness me. Look, you know what? I would say that the bright sparks of yesterday, Cunha, Dorgu, Aiden Heaven, Euro as usual. To be honest with you, Heaton did very well when he was playing yesterday. Made a couple of crucial saves. There was also Chido, I think, was good in a way that I saw promise there. Still very, very raw, but there is promise there. But the rest of them, to a man, the experienced players, I just don't think they're going to do the job for Manchester United. I don't. I think Man United need to honestly think about this. They need to think about and reevaluate what these players have done over the last 5 years and letting this team down. I do not want to go into next season with those same players, guys. We need something different. You can keep your players like Bruno and players like that, but you don't have to play him every single game. You know, you don't have to. I know he's your captain. I don't think he's a good captain. I don't. And to be honest with you, look, we turned down 100 million, right? And that is the thing. We have to be honest, though. Guys, I've seen great players at this football club. Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Beckham, Giggs. You know what I mean? Cantona. I've seen these players with my own eyes live at the ground. I've seen what they do. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So I have my standards and I know what we need. I don't get flustered by Bruno or, you know what, Casemiro and things like that. I don't get it. It doesn't faze me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm like, no, move on. You're not good enough anymore. You can't even bloody pass a ball, for goodness sake. It's ridiculous. Morning, Revert 7. How you doing, my friend? I'll be doing well. Really good to see you. Morning, we still need a striker, central midfielder, and a goalkeeper at the very least. I agree with that, Revert 7. Absolutely. Need much more players, don't we? Absolutely. Bill. Bruno cannot stick to his role. He wanders in and the captain wonders. There is no control. Absolutely, Bill. Brilliant point. Exactly what I'm talking about. He has not got the discipline to play the number 8 role. Right? I don't think he has the discipline to play the number 10. Do you know what I mean? Because yesterday, the way I saw it, he was playing as number 10. But when I looked at the game, I saw him deep. So I was saying during the game, he needs to move forward. He needs to stay in his position. He lacks positional discipline. And because it's Bruno Fernandes, we can't say nothing to Bruno. We can't say nothing about him. You can't. I've got people on Twitter, right, talking about Dorgu, slandering Dorgu. Are they mad? Dorgu was our best player like yesterday again. If you cannot see a generational wing-back in Dorgu, I don't think football is for you because Dorgu is going to be a great player. It's not his fault that we cannot do movements into the box. We can't. Rasmus doesn't do movement. Rasmus just backs into players and stuff like that. And this is another thing why we need a proper striker. You know what I mean? But the midfield is a worry, guys. It is a worry. But what the biggest worry is this, guys. No matter what midfielder we sign, Bruno's going to play. Bruno's going to play. He's going to play. He's going to play in that number 8 role. That no matter what, we could sign Baleba, Wharton, Richard Rios. We could sign any one of those players, but Bruno's still going to play that number 8 next to him and leave him exposed. You know, and this is the problem that I'm having, and this is the worry that I have. When I sit down and I think about it, and I want to think positively, I want to think what can change in this football team. What is the biggest problem in this football team? And I look over the years of the problems that have been occurring over and over again, Bagel FC and all that. You know, and it comes to one common demeanor, one relatable situation, which is ill discipline in positions, shoehorning players into position, you know, playing players in the wrong positions, you know, and that is the problem for me. Bruno's mistakes can be covered by Edison. They can be, but why should we have to cover mistakes? Why should we have to cover for mistakes again and again and again and again? Why do we have to keep covering for him? Why do we keep covering for him? Why? At the end of the day, no player should be covering for another player again and again and again. He's a captain. He should be the inspiration behind the team. He should be the one that, you know what, he's covering for other people. It should be like that. It can happen. You can make mistakes. That's absolutely fine. You can make 1 or 2 mistakes in a game and you're covered by your man. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. But Roy Keane didn't have to cover for Paul Scholes. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, I would say that Roy Keane, Scholes would do his job effectively, change the game. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Sal, for some fans, we will be at Bruno if he do not perform because of we did not sell him. Yeah. We won't. Look, people like me won't be at Bruno because we did not sell him. We'll be at Bruno because he's not performing, and that's what we are. By the way, the midfield was on it was a link attack and defense. We're going this way. Midfield went that way. Yep. And side to side and side to side and lack of ideas. And also what I would say about what I evaluated the game yesterday was we're too slow from the back. We stand still again. Guys, this is a problem. And I'm going to mention this again. We're too slow from the back. We stand still on the ball. No player should be standing still on the football pitch. Never. Our defense, get the ball. Our goal kicker gets the ball, right? Gets the ball, puts his foot on the ball, looking around, does a little shimmy, stops, does a little shimmy again, and then passes it out. And then we're passing it from side to side, wasting time. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, wasting time, passing it from side to side, from side to side. And to be honest with you, we need quicker. We need to be quicker. We're slow, guys. We're slow. We are too slow playing out from the back. You know, we have to be real, guys. Big up, Gray. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well, but you're well. Wasn't impressed with the performance yesterday. Very pedestrian. If so, obviously, we need better players, a striker and a midfield, definitely. We need a lot. And these players need to understand the formation. And again, I'm bringing it all the way through the team now. I'm analysing it all the way through the team. And look at the defence, guys. Look at the defence. Look how slow we move the ball forward to the midfield. Look how slow we are. Look when the goalkeeper gets the ball, right? The goalkeeper doesn't have to do much, keep the ball out of the net and stuff like that. But look at when he gets the ball. Look how slow he is. Look how he keeps stand still and indecisive. Isn't that what's going on there? Don't they know what they're doing? Don't they go to training every single week? And that's what I would say, because I've seen this a number of times from Manchester United. I saw it in the Europa League final. We saw it last season many, many times, that we get the ball from the back, pass it to the defender, slow, pass it to the side, stop on the ball, look up, indecisive, little shimmy, pass it to the side. And that's what we do. And that, you know, you're not going to win games like that. Teams are finding it easy to play against us. And that should never be the case at Manchester United. It should never be the case that the teams find it easy to play against us. Absolutely not. Revert 7. I missed the game yesterday. From the sounds of it, sounds like the same. It was the same, old mate. You didn't miss much. British Bulldog, we do not have 100 million players, and for the positions we need, we're going to play our number 10 as an 8. What a bizarre club. I mean, at the end of the day, exactly. We rejected 100 million to play a player out of position, British Bulldog. Can you believe the insanity here? Are we the only ones of thinking? We rejected 100 million to play a player out of position. What is going on at this football club? Bruno should not be guaranteed a spot. Never should be guaranteed a spot. You know? I would say that right now. And I don't care anymore about people's player FC, affiliations with this, affiliations with that, affiliations with Rashford, affiliations with Bruno. I don't care. At the end of the day, last season, why it was embarrassing for the fan base. They embarrassed the great name of Manchester United. They embarrassed this football club. Let me tell you that right now. Every single one of them contributed to Man United coming 15th. Why are we playing Luke Shaw? Why is Luke Shaw still playing for Manchester United? Why is he still in that team? He's obviously overweight. He's obviously slow. He's obviously can't run anymore. Look at him. Watch him. You know, and this is the thing. Look, you can see he's not got it anymore. Why is he still playing for Manchester United? Since 2014, for crying out loud. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. We have Luke Shaw who still passes the ball backwards. At the end of the day, Luke Shaw is a left back. But Luke Shaw is he can play left-sided centre-back, but that's not his position. Again, shoehorning players into positions. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we need. We need Leacher back 100%, the way he gets that ball forward and stuff. Aidan Heaven should always be playing in that left-sided centre-back position, in my opinion. Absolutely. Luke Shaw should not be playing for Man United anymore. We all know what's going to happen with Luke Shaw. We know that Luke Shaw is going to start playing this season. Why? Because the World Cup is in a few months, isn't it? At the end of the season, the World Cup is. You know, that's why Luke Shaw will start playing for Man United. We all know what he's ready for. He's ready for the World Cup. He wants to play in the World Cup in America, of course. Dabizas. Hoyland has improved. Just 0 points. I won't say he needs to step up fast. He does. Dabizas, we can't keep being sentimental towards players. We can't keep, this charity towards certain players. We can't do that anymore. Man United need to stop the charity. Stop being so sentimental with players. Be sentimental to the club. Think about the club, what the club need. And as far as I'm aware, I was raised on strikers scoring goals. I was raised on great strikers. that score goals, that get into the box, that get into position, that make things happen. Do you know what I mean? Make things happen. I posted a compilation on Twitter yesterday of George Weah. Look at the goals. Look at the goals. It's not just wait in the box, lean against your defender, and wait for the ball to come to you. Right? This is not Nuneaton Borough, for goodness sake. This is Manchester United at the end of the day. You know? No offense to Nuneaton Borough, by the way. But this is what it is. You know? He plays like a seasoned pub player. That is what he plays like. A seasoned pub player. Right? Look at the compilation of what I posted on Twitter and what I've done with George Best, with George Weah and players like that. You know, look at that and look at the goals that he scored. Difference night and day. Sal, it's amazing Heaton is better with his feet than Onana. Yeah, but still very, very indecisive, in my opinion. Too slow getting the ball out again. You know, Man United are too slow at getting the ball out. There's no substitute for speed, right? There's no substitute for quickness on the ball. We have to be more quicker on the ball. There's no substitute for that. We really do. Revert 7. I don't think Bruno is a centre midfielder. He's a 10 or an attacking midfielder. He is. But what are they going to do, Revert 7? Another thing with Bruno, though, Revert 7, if you analyse the game, look what Bruno done. Bruno played as a number 10 yesterday, Revert 7. It was Collier and Casemiro in midfield yesterday, Revert 7. Collier and Casemiro. Bruno was playing as a number 10 yesterday. Let's not forget that. He was playing as a number 10. But watch the game. He kept drifting into that midfield. He kept drifting. He kept being ill-disciplined. When you're number 10, stay up there. We need you up there. We don't need you back there helping out. We need you up there. This is why we don't score goals. We need you up there. We don't need you down in the midfield. Collier and Casemiro were the midfielders yesterday, right? The question is, if he doesn't play number 10, they're going to move him into number 8. Ruben Amorim will move him into the number 8 position. And that is where my biggest concern will be. Because at the end of the day, right, if he doesn't play number 10, he shouldn't play. It's as simple as that. And Cunha and Mbeumo are the number 10s. And I don't want to see Mbeumo playing a right wing back. Okay? I don't want to see that next season. If I see that, I'll lose my shit. I will. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, Bruno plays as a number 10 or Bruno doesn't play at all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if people love Bruno. You know what I mean? I like Bruno. As I've said, guys, I've worked with Bruno's brother for 2 years. I worked with his brother for 2 years in a hospital in Surrey. Okay? All right, so I know his brother, right? So I have no hatred towards Bruno. I have nothing against Bruno. But what I love more than anything is Manchester United. That is what I love. And I want what's best for Manchester United. I don't want what's best for Bruno. I don't want what's best for Luke Shaw. I don't want what's best for bloody Ahmad. I want what's best what's good for Manchester United at the end of the day. David says, Luke almost got injured yesterday. He'd be fit this season. You watch. Luke Shaw is finished. He's so nervous. He reminds me of a Maguire, past Maguire, absolutely. Even Maguire, look, at the end of the day, we're going to have to be realistic with ourselves, right? We have to say that, is this the future? You know? We did not win anything last season. We came 15th. And I don't trust any of those players anymore. You know, only the young players, the Euros and the Aiden Heavens, you know. Maybe Mazraoui gets away with it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I don't trust any of those players in my humblest of opinions. But then again, I look at the defense and I don't really see the defense as the major problem. The only thing is that these defenders are too slow in regards to passing the ball out from the back. They pass too slow, and that needs to be fixed. Whether that's the midfielder's fault, whether the midfield doesn't come to retrieve the ball, I don't know. But it's too slow. 4-2-3-1 can only work for these players because they are not versatile after midfield was a disaster. Big up Bumo. Darren, big up yourself. I don't understand why players can't adapt to the system. Football's meant to be a simple game. Yeah, football intelligence. Absolutely, Darren. You know what? Do you think, Darren, right, that if you put Zinedine Zidane, right, a prime Zinedine Zidane into that team, he would struggle? No, he wouldn't, because he can play in any system, anytime, anywhere. It's not about systems. It's about players' intelligence. It's about how they adapt. But one thing that helps players, okay, is that if players are playing in their correct positions, they have to play in their correct positions, because you cannot play, you know what, Peter Crouch as a left back. You know what I mean? For example. So what you have to do, you have to play players in their correct position. System doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They have, you know, It works. It's worked. It has a history of working in the past and stuff like that. The systems do matter, but don't matter. They're just there to, you know what I mean, to set up the team. But players playing out of position is the problem. Favoritism is a problem. And this is something that we need to get rid of at Man United. We all know that Bruno plays because he's Portuguese, guys. You know what I mean? And you know what? And because past achievements. And this is evident because of Dalot, because Dalot will start next season. Right? And you're going to think, why is Dalot starting? It should be Ahmad. You're going to be like that next season. Watch. And the problem is, you don't win anything with favoritism. You don't win anything with your mates' rates. You don't do that. And Man United have had mates' rates for a very, very long time. You know what I mean? And this hasn't changed. And, you know, I remember us saying mates' rates, what is it, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we were going mates' rates, weren't we? Remember? And there is still mates' rates culture at Man United. You know, it's terrible. Randy, good morning, Randy. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. British Bulldog. So we have 100 million number 10 who will not sell but play out of position, and we will buy 2 number 10s from Strange Club. British Bulldog. I mean, insanity, isn't it? It's insanity, mate. Exactly. We buy 2 number 10s. Great. We bought 2 number 10s. Great number 10s. Mbumo and Cunha. 2 great number 10s. Great. So that means we're going to drop Bruno and create a new team. No, not us. Not on your bottom. No, don't rest on that. No, absolutely not. Definitely not. ESPN Manchester United agenda is crazy yesterday. I mean, ESPN, look, to be honest with you, Ephraim, ESPN, Talk Shit, all these channels out there, I don't really listen to them because I know that they're going to feed into the narrative. But what I would say is that we give them an excuse to do that. We help them to splurt the news. We help them. We make it easy for them. We make it easy for ESPN FC. We make it easy for Talk Sport. We make it easy for them to criticize us because even we are very disappointed in Man United, the way we play. We're fed up with the way we play. Even we are. But the problem with those channels in regards to ESPN and Talk Sport and other entities is that they're going to just blame the manager. They're not going to look at the context. They're going to blame the manager. And that's what it is. With us, we look at everything from every angle, every player. We look at them. You know what I mean? I don't think it's absolute that we would have got relegated if Bruno didn't play for Man United. I think that's absolute nonsense. Right? The best performance Man United had last season, Bruno didn't play. And it was a 7-goal thriller against Barnsley. Right? So at the end of the day, right, I don't want to criticize him too much, but at the end of the day, I think we play with 9 men. I do. I think Rasmus and Bruno play like we're playing with 9 men sometimes. So you're better off building the team. But the problem is that we're not gonna drop them. We're not gonna drop them, and that's where the problem comes. T Diddy, big up my friend, big up Kenny. If Diddy is that good, then why haven't other teams? Exactly, Bill. Exactly. Why haven't other teams gone in for him? You know what I mean? You know why they haven't gone in for him, Bill? And there was Arsenal were interested a couple of years ago. Man United were interested in about 3 or 4 years ago. The reason other teams have not gone in for him is because it's his injury record. You know? That's his problem. That's the problem. He's got an injury record, and teams don't want to spend money on injured players. And the only team that seems to be pro signing players who are injured all the time is Manchester United. Absolutely. Ephraim, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. Kerwin, I don't even like Bruno, number 8. I don't like it. And I'm going to be realistic, guys. And Kerwin, what we have to do as a football fan base, we have to call things as they are, right? There's no agendas here. There's no like Player FC, and there's no agendas here. We don't have agendas against anyone. We call things as they are. And that's how I like to keep it. Call things as they are. You know what I mean? Now, I look at it and the past evidence over the years and the years and years. We've seen a lot of football. I watched every single game last season. We saw it. You know what I mean? We were calling it. You know? There's a problem at Man United. And it's not just about, you know, the one player. It is about a few players, and it is about the way we implement the style, right? So basically, we get the ball and we're too slow on the ball. We're indecisive on the ball. We're not taking risks. We pass side to side. You take it, hot potato syndrome, hot potato football. That's what Man United play at the moment. It's hot potato football. We need players who take initiative, who get that ball and take the game by the scruff of the neck. We don't have any players in there, especially those experienced players. You should know better, who take the game by the scruff of the neck and say, right, I'm taking this team forward. You know what I mean? We don't have it. We're like, oh, you get the ball, I take the ball, you keep the ball, you have the ball. You know, and that's what it is, side to side, side to side. By the time you know it, it's 45 minutes, half-time, 0-0. And this is what happened last season, many times. Remember the games, you know, that we lost 1-0 because we spent the whole game side to side. You have the ball, I have the ball, you have the ball. You remember those games last season? We lost the game by only a goal. I think everyone has mentioned about Shaw for a long time, Kenny. I think not only Helge, but many people know about Shaw. I've been watching Shaw since 2014. Good morning from India. Big up, Guraj, my friend. Hope you're doing well and hope India is cool. Hope you're well. We should get RIOS in already. Have money of Elenga and carries and now Rashford going as well. I agree there. Gurang. I mean, I don't know why we're not going after Richard RIOS. You know, my biggest concern, Gurang, is that we're not signing Richard RIOS because we have Casemiro and Bruno, and we don't want to drop them, and that is my biggest concern that I have. That we're gonna sign Casemiro, and that you know, if we drop, you know, we're not gonna sign Richard RIOS because we don't want to drop certain players. That's the biggest worry that I have, to be honest with you. You know, and that is the mentality that we should not be doing. That is mentality that we should be going way away from. That's the culture that we've been talking about, that we should eradicate that. It should be based on player merit. Players should be played on merit. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, players should be played on merit. Absolutely. Randy, so our biggest problem is our midfield gets run over. Not only that, Randy, I think we're too slow from the back to the front. I think we're too slow. I think we pass the ball like a hot potato, like I said, and we don't move that ball forward quick enough from the back. And the gap between the defense and the midfield, you know, is too large. Do you know what I mean? So what that midfield needs to do is they need to drop back a little bit. So they drop back, they get the ball, they retrieve the ball, bring the ball forward. We're very slow at getting that ball forward past the halfway line. Watch the games. Watch what we do. Like we are very slow at getting that ball past the halfway line, and teams find it very easy to defend against us. You know what I mean? And that is one problem, but there are many problems at the team. Big up Graham, you legend. Please smash the like button, subscriber. Thank you so much, Graham. You absolute legend. Richard Wood is that good? Then why hasn't any top teams in the league come for him? Maybe because they're sleeping on him. Why isn't any top teams coming for the players that, for example, let me say, why didn't anyone go in for João Neves when Benfica signed for him? Why didn't anyone go for João Neves? Why didn't anyone go in for Vitinha? Why? Because football nowadays is full of corporate munching prats who do not scout beyond their own nose. That's why Richard RIOS is not wanted by other teams. That's why no one wanted João Neves before he signed for, you know, Benfica, and no one wanted Vitinha, did they? No one thought they were going to be the great players that they become, you know, before they went to that team, before they went to, you know, Europe and things like that. So at the end of the day, look, I don't deal with that in regards to that. It doesn't mean that he's a bad player because no other team's gone in for him. It doesn't mean that. Well, I would say that Benfica have gone in for him, Roma have gone in for him, and Man United are interested in him. You know, so at the end of the day, there's a couple of big teams right there that are interested in him. But you have to look at things from a reality point of view. That, you know what, you know, just because, you know what, there's a player who plays for Morecambe in the lower divisions, we ain't spotted him and he's the next Messi. It doesn't mean that, you know what, you know, no, he's not good. It doesn't mean that he's not good, is it? It's just that teams are too snobby these days. They don't scout in South America enough. England, the English teams in particular don't, and big teams don't, you know, at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, I'd much rather scout Richard RIOS than bloody Ndidi. You know what I mean? That is the question that we should be asking. Bill, he's in position and demands energetic youth players that can have long-term investment. Bill, Dabazas, too early to say all this. I need to see the US tour. I mean, and in judgment, I don't care what you need to see, Dabazas. Nothing really matters. Being a lean, absolute. We've been good in friendlies loads of times. You remember preseason Pereira? Being lean absolutely means nothing. Low doesn't change much about the team. Absolutely. Gaza, what's going on, my friend? Morning, Sal. Should have sold Bruno. I agree. Doesn't fit into the system at all. Euro, Heaven, Dorgu, Cunha, Dalla all look good yesterday. Collier, Casemiro, Hoyland need to go too. Agree, Gaza. Gaza, you think like me, mate. Absolutely there. Gaza says it right there. That is absolutely spot on what he's talking about there. The players that played good are there, right there in your face, sir. And there are players there that need to leave. I agree with everything that Gaza said there. Absolute spot on, mate. There are only two midfielders decent enough for us, Wharton and Baleba. We have to break the bank. I agree with that, Bill. There's no doubt I agree with that. My favourite is Wharton. I think that Man United need a player like that, energetic. He reminds me of Carrick. Problem is 70 million. You know, are Man United going to do it? The only way Man United could do it, Bill, is Man United sell players. And as Gaza said there, Hoyland, get him gone. You know what I mean? Get these players bloody gone. You know what I mean? Get rid of them and make some money and get proper players in there. Do you know what I mean? Stop hoping that these players become good players. Do you know what I mean? Baleba, I'm not sure about. I mean, there was the flavour of the month. It was a fan favourite, of course. Decent player. I'm not sure that he's as good as people think, but you know what? He's better than what we have. I will go for Wharton myself. Saw him against Man City in that FA Cup final in a big game. Absolutely tore it up. We don't want seconds again. Bruno is 31 and the Saudi wants to pay 100 million. What are you doing? We should sell and buy him. They're not going to go after him, mate. They're not going to go after him. Wharton is the guy Man United should be going for. Story. It does not matter which area they are from. He is not good enough or not. Use the right. I say yes. Use right. I say yes. Should be for number 10. Fuck the system. We do not look any better organised. It's nothing to do with players' IQ. Story. I don't think you're talking much sense. It is players' IQ, mate. It is because they played a 4-3-3 with Eric Ten Hag. You know, they played the same systems with other managers and fouled as well, mate. It's nothing to do with systems, mate. Dead ball knowledge. Pal, got to do better. Ephraim, where is our scouting departments? Why are you not see South America? Why do they not see the South American market? Lazy, Ephraim. Lazy. And very tunnel visioned in what they do at the end of the day. Did you see, like, someone was talking about the game against Leverkusen and Flamengo under 20s, right? People were talking about, oh my God, Eric Ten Hag lost 5-0 to Flamengo under 20s. And I was like, why Man United scouting Flamengo? There was a player there called Gonçalves, right? 19 years old, looked absolutely phenomenal. Why aren't we scouting that player? You know what I mean? And this is what I'm thinking. This is the way I think. Why are we not thinking like that? They get paid the big bucks. They get paid the big bucks to do everything, to do the job as a scouting and stuff like that. Why does it take me to look at a player like Gonçalves and say, he's a good player, 19 years old, he's a good player? You know what I mean? David says, Bruno's window's gone. No one's going to pay for him now, David says. Absolutely. We missed the boat in regards to that. Damien, what's going on, my friend? Are we doing well? Good morning, buddy. I was expecting a better game yesterday. Same rubbish again. This needs to change and quick. I agree, Damien. We have to change this now, Damien. We have to change this now because we're going to go into next season expecting, and we're going to be disappointed. It's going to be like that. And if we don't change it now, and I mean drastic changes, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Bruno is 31 and they don't want to pay anymore. Not anymore, my friend. What are we doing? We should sell them both, Casemiro and Bruno, and bring Baleba, who's 21, rapid, covers a lot of ground. The problem is, Abaladi, we're not going to sell him now. They're not going to pay 100 million for him. That's it. We lost the boat, mate. Yale, I thought indeed he was on his way to Leverkusen, not United. I mean, Man United are still in it. He hasn't signed for Leverkusen yet. Man United are still in for it. We should have sold Bruno. Big up Dembo. I mean, if I speak, I'll be in trouble, wouldn't I? Amorim must be given the players he wants. Otherwise, absolutely, Randy. Absolutely. At the end of the day, if players do not have the player intelligence or the IQ to play that system, they shouldn't be playing for Manchester United. They shouldn't be. You know? At the end of the day, that's what I would say. They shouldn't be playing for Man United if they cannot play that system. Every single player that comes into Manchester United should be able to play that system. Now, look at it. Look at it. Look at Dorgu. Can play that system. Why can Dorgu play that system? Why? Because we signed him to play that system. You know what I mean? Ahmad is not a right wing back. Bruno is not a number 8. You know, and there are players in there who can't play a back 3. You know, so at the end of the day, we need to sign players who fit that system. I don't care about the players anymore. I don't care about this player FC. Let's back the players again. Let's sack another manager again. Shall we? Shall we do that insanity, that nonsense? I've been a fan nearly 40 years, guys. I think I have a legitimate opinion. I've not only been a fan, I traveled thousands of miles watching Man United. I think I have a decent, a legitimate opinion in regards to what it is. I'm not insane. I don't blame the manager again. I don't blame the manager. I blame the bloody players now. I blame the board. That's who I blame. And that's what, if they do not buy him the players that he needs for that system, then I'm not gonna blame the manager anymore. I'm sorry, I don't. He may not be perfect, but I'm not gonna call him out for it, because at the end of the day, you cannot make an accurate judgment until he has his players. Bumo, big up. We should have sold Bruno for the money and buy the players available. It's affecting the team balance. I agree, Bumo. Very good point, mate. Absolutely agree with that, mate. Kenny, my only issue with Amorim is that he's shoehorning Bruno into number 8, in which I hope he doesn't really do that. Kenny, exactly. This is a constructive opinion, and we allow the constructive opinion. Is that he's making every manager makes mistakes, Kenny, and there's always one or two that even Alex Ferguson used to do, right? That would have improved us. And I think that Bruno being shoehorned into the team because he's the captain, right, is wrong. He shouldn't be shoehorned into that team. And people say, oh, it's not because of that. It's his countrymen and that. It is. It's obvious. Look at Dalot. He plays every game. You know what I mean? Last season almost. You know, you've got to look at things realistically. He communicates. They're better communicators with each other. They like each other. They're mates. They communicate. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And that is the thing that we have to stay away from. Communication should be on the pitch. That's where the communication should be, in my opinion. Big up, Kenny. Invincible. I cannot trust Casemiro in that midfield because he lacks confidence and has no legs to play that in that midfield. United will regret not selling Bruno. He is my friend, Invisible. I wouldn't say that he's a flop. He's been one of our best signings last 15 years. But what we need to do is know when to start drifting him out. Now, other big teams, Real Madrid, probably Man City and teams like that, will start drifting out a player. Look at Kevin De Bruyne at Man City. He still can do a job. He still can play, but they drifted him out, didn't they? Remember Zabaleta? He could still do a job. He could still play, but they drifted him out. Aguero, the same. You need youth. You need legs. That's what you need, you know, at the end of the day. And we don't have any legs. We're about Christopher Reeve FC, for goodness sake. Randy, Amorim must be given the players he wants, otherwise he will blame if things go bad. I agree that with absolutely, my friend. Tyrone, what's going on, my friend? I'll be doing well. Dalot need to go. He can't square the ball. I agree with that, Tyrone. Absolutely not good enough. Open heart surgery still not happened. And one thing about it, Timo, is that when Ralph Rangnick said open heart surgery, he basically meant the whole club. He didn't just mean the team. He meant the whole club, the medical department, the board, everything. That's why he got sacked, because he meant the whole club. He said open heart surgery for the whole club. And it's exactly, Timo, we haven't done it yet. We haven't done the open heart surgery. We're still on the waiting list for that open heart surgery. Do you know what I mean? And it's ridiculous. Big up, Mickey. Tim, you absolute legend. Big up, Tim. Hope you're doing well. Big up, Mickey. What's going on? Xerxes at 8. Ball control, big and strong. Does not run in. No pressure to score. Your view, Sal? I think, can I be honest with you, Mickey? I think I would much rather Xerxes in that team than Rasmus. And that's what I would say. You know, the only thing with Xerxes is he's not prolific. But neither is Rasmus. The great thing about Xerxes, he links play. He links play and he links it well. He links between the midfield and the strikers. He's very good at it. Now, if Man United do not sign a striker, I don't want to see Rasmus up front next season. I don't. I think he needs to go on loan, I'll be honest. But I don't want to see Rasmus on loan playing next season up front. I think Xerxes should play or Chido Obi Martin should play next season, not Rasmus. Unfortunately, you know, we probably will squeeze him in, shoehorn him in. I mean, I don't know. Big up. Gaza. We need a European Champions League team to come in for Bruno late in the window. I'd sell him for 70 million. I reckon he would go well, depending on the team that came in for him. Absolutely, mate. I think he will. I think the only reason he didn't leave Gaza is because it wasn't a European team. I agree, Gaza. I think if another team went in for him in Europe, they wouldn't. But again, someone said to me, why doesn't anyone want Richard Rios? in big teams in Europe. Why doesn't anyone want Bruno? You know what I mean? Randy, I agree. Amorim will be the fall guy. Again, isn't it, Darren? Again, the manager's the fall guy. The manager's the fall guy. The manager's the one who takes the hit, isn't it, Darren? You know, here we go again. Round and round we go. Let's get another manager in. You know, let's do that again. Let's get another highly rated manager out there. Guys, you can get bloody Luis Enrique, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Ancelotti in this football club. It'd be the same. The culture at the football club stinks. And that's what I would say. And people need to know that. Kenny, Hoyland doing the Fat Joe thing. Lean back, absolutely. But he leans back and falls on the floor, Kenny. You know what I mean? He leans back and he falls down on the floor. It's ridiculous. Absolutely insanity. Guys, you absolute legends. Thank you so much for joining me today. And guys, thank you so much for your support. Again, as I say every single time, you're an absolute genius, legendary community, of course. Guys, I will be back later on for Chatterbox. Please don't forget to join me for that. Also, guys, please don't forget to put your notifications on, because I might go live if anything breaks. You never know what happens these days in regards to that. Guys, in regards to... Damien, thank you so much, Damien. You're an absolute legend. Thank you, mate. Thank you for the compliments, guys. And thank you. A compliment doesn't go amiss. A compliment doesn't go amiss, guys. Absolutely. And guys, thank you so much. Big up everyone in the stream. And don't forget to put your notifications on. Smash a like, please, guys. Please smash a like. We need to get those likes up, guys. And also, don't forget Chatterbox later on. Going to be a big one. Take it easy, guys. Have a great day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Sal Warner, and this is Breaking Dawn. Have a good day. Peace.